All right, folks. So we've got our floor, and now that we've had our dance party on the floor, now we better start building the house. Start making the walls. So making the walls is going to be a little tedious because we got to get some materials together first. So here we go with doing that. Let's start with an easier wall. Um, let's start with, let's see, this back wall here. If we look at the floor plan, just hard to see that. I'll expand this just to see it better. It's a little hard to see this, but in this wall, you can see these little knocked out. These represent windows. So in this whole back wall here, there's only one window in the bedroom. I'm going to call that 4 feet wide, 4 feet tall. Um, and it starts 4 feet in from the end. Now we're going to make these by walls going all the way because 32 feet is a nice even number that works out with 16-inch on center. So we're going to have to get the materials ready to go for that. So here we go. Let's start a new, um, and by the way, I am in this. I know you don't have that floor plan picture, but I do. So start a new part studio. Now, when this pops up, let's rename this part studio, and we're going to call it studs. And this is where we're going to go to get all our vertical structural members. Okay. Now, for this one, we're going to sketch in the front. So hover over the front, right click, and say I want to make a new sketch. P turns off planes, N gets you perpendicular, and I also will turn off the origin point because it doesn't matter. All right, now we're going to make a bunch of things. I'm going to make several boards, even more than I'm going to make just to prepare. So we're going to make one little triangle here, or rectangle, sorry. Corner to corner rectangle is my command. It is going to be, whoops, I accidentally clicked off of it. If that happens, just use your dimension tool like I just did. And the one dimension is going to be 1.5 because this is all going to be 2x4 construction. Enter. And the other way is going to be 3.5. Now we'll talk about why this isn't necessarily right because most houses have 2x6 construction on the exterior walls these days, but we're going to deal with that anyway. Now, let's zoom out a little bit. I want to make a pattern out of this, okay? Because I'm going to make a bunch of them, like 10. So I'm going to escape to get out of that command. If you click on the mouse and then as you're holding the mouse button down, drag, it selects what's there. So I'm selecting everything, and I am going to make a pattern out of this. Now, up here are different types of patterns. I want to make a linear pattern out of that. Now, whoa, that is weird. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Yeah, this isn't usually the way this works. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. Sorry, I forgot that this is different than the other programs that I'm used to. And I undid my dimension. There we go. All right, so let me start from the beginning. We're going to drag a box by holding down on the left mouse button, dragging across to get that. And I'm going to hit linear pattern. Now, it's kind of weird the way it shows up like this. It gets a little confusing. So what you're going to do is drag this arrow and pull out. Now, it shows you how far apart they are, but by default, it will give you 3 of them. So what you do to change that is click where it says 3 times, and let's make that 5. 5. I had to double click it. 5. Enter. Okay. Now, you can drag this to get more or less space. Let's make it about like that. And then we were going to click on that other arrow to go the other way. It doesn't matter whether you go up or down. We're going to pull on that arrow, and we're going to make 2. Okay. Now, once we like it and we're good, we've got 10 parts, we're going to click left click on the mouse to say OK, and we've got all of these done. Now we're going to say OK to the sketch, okay, and we're going to use this to make a whole bunch of different parts. All right, so for now we're only going to make 4, but then we've got others for later. So we're going to extrude. Click on this first one. Just because I feel like it, I'm going to go the other direction, and we're going to make this 92 inches long. Check. Or enter will give you a little preview. Check does it. Now, the sketch went away. We're going to bring it back by coming up here and turning back on the visibility of the sketch. Click on the little eyeball. Now, every time we do this, we're going to name the part and we're going to change the material for the part. I know this is a little tedious, but hey, you know, sometimes work is work. So I'm going to right click on part 1. I'm going to rename that and call this stud. Just call it stud. Because this is going to be our standard, let's call it stud 92. Now, in the real world, the stud is 92 5/8. I'll get into the reason for that later on, but we're going to make it easy on ourselves and call that stud 92. Also, let's make these look kind of like wood. So we're going to right-click on that, edit appearance, and just pick a color that you think looks good. I'm going to choose that. I think I'm going to choose that top middle one right there, and do that for all of them. If you want to make them a different color, you can. It just sometimes gets hard to see if you don't have them the right color, but you do you. All right, so we have a stud 92. We're going to extrude again. We're going to do that. We're going to go the other way. This one is going to be 81 inches. Enter, enter. I am now going to call this name, and we're going to call this a jack stud. Let's call it a jack stud 81. We'll give each one of them a number. And I'm going to change the appearance to the one that I like. Okay. Next is going to be where we're going to extrude this one the other way. And we're going to extrude that 31.5. Whoops, 31.5. Okay. And we're going to rename that one as Sill Jack Stud. Sill Jack Stud 31.5. Enter. Let's make it the color I like. Appearance. Jeez. Okay, and I wonder if I can do all of them at the same time. I bet I can. Well, now I don't know because I've only got one more to go. Might have been able to just highlight all of these and hit edit. Yeah, look at that. You could edit appearance. Could have done it at the end. Sorry. All right, next time we know. So now we're going to extrude that one. Let's go the other direction, and this one is going to be 55.5 inches. All right, and this one is going to be renamed as Sill Jack Stud. And put BA for bathroom, 55.5. And the bathroom windows are higher, so we'll get to that at some point. And all right, we've got that. Now I can go back up here to sketch 1 and turn that off. Okay, and I've got my various studs of various different heights. All right, now to make it easy on myself, okay, I'm going to go back to this sketch because now I'm going to make some plates, which are the same material. Now, watch this. We're going to right-click on that sketch where we made this, and I'm going to copy that sketch. Okay. Now, make a new Part Studio. Click on the bottom, create Part Studio. Right-click on it and rename it, and we're going to call it Plates. These are at the top of the bottom of the wall. enter. Okay. Now, when we go to the front, we're going to go to the front, right click, make a new sketch, hit P for planes and for normal. And now what we're going to do is right click and paste sketch entities and check it out. All those things show up, so I don't need to redo them again. And we can say, okay, cool. Now this time I'm smart and I know that I don't need to redo or color them all, but I'm only making one plate this time, so I can't take advantage of it. All right, here we go. Let's extrude. We're just going to do the one the other way. And this one's 32 feet, so it's 32 times, which is the asterisk, times 12. Now, in real life, you can't go down to the lumber yard and buy a 32-foot long board. I mean, they max out at 20. But you know what? We're not living in the real world right now, so I can do whatever I want. All right, let's go to part 1, rename that, and we're going to call it plate 32, and let's just put feet so we know we're not dealing in inches. Okay, and let's make that color. All right, so I've got some studs, some plates. I now need to have some headers. So we're going to make some headers now. New part studio, create part studio. We're going to, again, sketch on the front plane, new sketch. P for plates, N brings me normal. This time we're going to make some rectangles that are a little bit bigger, okay, because these are going to be the big old header pieces that support weight over a door or window. So these are going to be 3.5, the same as a stud thickness wide. Enter, and then the height is going to be 11. Now, in the real world, they make these out of a couple of 2x12s that are have a half-inch piece of plywood sandwiched in between to make those headers. But we're going to pretend it's just one board. All right, so we've got 11 by 3.5. Now, because we know we're going to have to make a few different headers, let's do that same thing we did before with making a pattern. I'm going to drag a box around it to highlight everything. Come up here to, now I got to find drop-down menus. There it is, linear pattern. Again, grab the arrow to drag it out. This time I think I'll make 8, so I'm going to change that to a 4. And then we're going to just take this other arrow and drag it down, so I have a total of 8 of them. Cool. All right, we're going to do 2 today, and this time I'll be smart and do the appearance afterwards. So we're going to we're going to extrude that first one. And that one is going to be 41. I'll explain why at some point. Now let's rename that as header 36 door. In other words, it's for a 36-inch door open, the opening for a 36-inch door. We'll explain why it's 41 inches long at another time. And now we're going to turn back on the sketch and extrude another one. Flip it the other way. We're going to extrude this one to, uh-oh, I didn't calculate it. I need to think about this. I got a 48-inch wide opening plus 3 inches. It's going to be 51 this time. So it's going to be 51. Okay. Let's come back down here. Part 2, rename that as header 48 window. The reason why it's 3 inches longer than the opening is because we have a 1.5-inch jack stud on one side and a 1.5 jack stud on the other side, if you remember from when we did wall design. All right, now I should be able to do both of these. Click on one, hold the control button down and click on the other, and then I can assign edit appearance for 2 parts and be faster. All right, cool. So now I can turn off the sketch. Now I've got my headers and my plates and my studs, and we are ready to build our first wall. First, though, I somehow forgot, let's take this part studio that we're working in and rename that as headers. All right. Now, here's what I'd like you to do is take a picture with, you can either have your headers or your plates. Let's do it with the studs since we did that first. And take your picture that includes your name up here, and make sure that these studs, plates, and headers will all show up in the image too, so that I know you made those. And we will work on building the wall next time, because this video is starting to run a little longer than I wanted. So I know that part was not that fun, but next time we'll get to actually build. It'll be a little bit better. All right, see you next time.